The fifth action group, so we're just at halfway, we're going to be introducing now is in the industrial water reuse and recycling. I'd like to ask Albert Janssen, who we met very earlier on the screen, from the TNO Research Institute to come and join us here. This, of course, is about developing different recycling and reuse concepts in an industrial water context, standardizing the different water qualities, making sure that you know exactly what you're talking about in terms of those qualities, and the treatment technologies themselves, put them into a very modular approach. Please just give us a quick elevator speech of what your action group is doing. Where's the real innovation?
Water reuse is, of course, all about using your water again. But when you've used your water, then contaminants are in. And when you have concentrated them after the water reuse, you can see them as valuable resources. So for that reason, we are now discussing concepts, what to do with all those resources, how to use the energy out of this water, the heat, but also the chemical energy, to reuse chemicals, to make plastics or polymers or maybe fine chemicals, to reuse the nutrients out of the wastewater, to reuse the salt of the water, and then in the very end you have left over a small flow of water which can be disposed of after treating the micropollutants. So there are many, many technologies to be developed and to be connected if all those issues occur at the same time. And the real issue for our planet is how can we reduce the cost of all those processes? Because if we can reduce the cost and we can recover profits from the products, then this can become a very, very large market.
Did he concentrate on industrial water reuse because that market is more attractive, or what was the main reason for that?
There are two reasons for that. The first one is a historical one, because we started as a working group within WSSTP, and we still are. So we are action group and a working group, and there we have a focus in water and industry. But the second answer is, when you, for instance, want to look for drinking water qualities is seen as one of the qualities in industry. So in the meantime, we are looking for every quality, because every question in industry is roughly unique.
What would you call success for the action group, and how do you kind of measure that success? When do you say, okay, our work is done?
Well, maybe we can look at them from an industrial side. The most industries have used 50 to 100 times more water than rainfall in that area. So that's another definition of a water footprint. And their neighboring parts are getting urbanized and getting agriculturized, and they're also using more water than rainfall. So for them, it is difficult to get water outside the area. So it is becoming a necessity to do water reuse. And you see most industries starting up small projects. But I think real success will be if we can make it profitable for them as well. Because now it's seen as cost. And cost is difficult and will only be done if there are risks. And I think in future it can be successful if it is profitable.
Now I understand you have a tremendous amount of members in this action group. And perhaps one of the disadvantages, the cons of being part of EIP Water, is that you get so much interest generated. But reflect on some of the pros, would you, or maybe some of the other cons. What are the pros and cons of being within EIP Water?
Well, the pros within EIP Water is that it helped us to focus on one area, on the water reuse. And secondly, we will also be invited to expand with non-EU members. And for that reason, non-EU countries are very well known for water reuse. For instance, Singapore and California, United States, as is an institute in the United States for water reuse. And I've all connected them to the group so that we have a more international market and also more knowledge from outside Europe to us as well.
That's an excellent point, which probably many people are not aware of, making those links as well outside of the European area.
Yeah.
Okay. You also, of course, have 3 wishes.
Maybe more, but okay, let's... there are many things. For instance, one of the problems is everything is almost known about drinking water and communal wastewater, but there's not so much known about industrial water. And of course, that is quite logical, because industry has no interest to publish their water issues and problems. And that is a difficulty for the group. So my first wish is maybe we can invent a structure where all this information can go to, and we can use that on a confidential way. A second wish could be, how can we avoid barriers from legislation? Let me give an example. We are doing a project within TNO by using biocides to treat swimming pool water. And this is an SME company, and it wants to innovate here because they are now using chlorine, and in future they want to use in situ produced hydrogen peroxide. But then there comes legislation from Brussels who says we have to, this is a biocide, so you have to register it as a biocide. And it costs you €1 million. And of course they can do that from the profitable chlorine treatment, but they cannot do that from a research project where they still have to invest. And then they say, okay, let's put this project away until this problem is settled. So this causes a delay. Well, my third wish would be, how can we create the market for innovations more attractive for other investors? Because so much money has to be put in water treatment systems for the coming 60 years depreciation. I think we need more investors, else there's not enough money for innovations.